Good morning, Year 5. It's Thursday, the 27th of January. Our learning objective today is to edit and improve my short story. So a good thing to do before we start this session is to get your short story in front of you, either up on your computer or in your learning journal or your book in school. First of all, I just want to share some really good examples of some work that was handed in via Teams. And I know that Mr. Turnbull said that there was some brilliant work in school as well. This example, I just want you to pay close attention to the vocabulary in it, which I thought was excellent. This was from Ryan Ayton. So there are a couple of basic errors in here that we will have a look at, but I just want us to focus on the really good parts of this example. So we've got a lovely opener here, one luminous night, and again punctuated accurately with the comma there. He's used mysterious woman, so describing the woman, making a noun phrase. One luminous night, there was a mysterious woman crawling around the street like an overgrowing rat. I like this verb crawling here rather than just walking. We've got an example of the simile here as well. Snooping around endlessly, she will do anything in her psycho head to capture and morph each and every child in the village. Okay, so I like the word morph as well. That's a good one. A nice adverb here, snooping around endlessly. Okay, here we just need to think about maybe using a full stop and capital letter to start this one. But as I say, we're just going to focus on the really good vocabulary here. And moving forward, she morphed into a snake and she was called Ragnhild Hansen. And all she does now is slither around either in the streets or around in her parents' house. Again, we would want to change that to a full stop capital letter again, but we'll look at that a little bit more closely. So that would be a nice opener. One day she was playing outside and the same woman who transformed her. So rather than using the word morph, because Ryan has used that word quite a bit, he's used it twice so far, he's used a synonym for morph, so they mean exactly the same thing, but it's just changing up that vocabulary again, which is excellent. So very well done for that. You might want to magpie some of those words from Ryan's example here to improve some of your writing. Okay, so this example here, I just wanted to focus on some of the sentence openers. This example was from Oliver here, and I've just written down on the right-hand side here some of the openers that Oliver used. So we've got one bright morning, in the back street, so a preposition telling us where it is, both perfectly punctuated with the comma thereafter. Also, he uses the conjunction as at the beginning of the sentence, a subordinating conjunction. So as Oliver drew closer to the figure, here we've got our subordinate clause, and then in the text somewhere it follows on with the main clause. Just a little note here, and I did notice this on a few people's stories, that once you've used the word Oliver, for example up here, you can change that to then change, so you're not saying Oliver all of the time. If you see Oliver, 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 you could replace that with he. Okay, so replace it with that pronoun so it doesn't seem so repetitive for the reader. Okay, so just a little note there. If anybody else has done that in their piece of writing, just go through and look and just say, right, oh, I've already mentioned the character by name, by their proper name. Now I can start using different pronouns as I move through the rest of my writing. Okay, well done, Oliver. That was brilliant. This was another good example of some different sentences open here. So just focusing on that, we've got one day, the next morning, meanwhile, nice different ways to start it. However, we are missing some punctuation here where we would need a comma. So one day, Daisy, who was wearing one of her Daisy dresses, so there we've got a relative clause, was on her way to school. And then we don't need an and here, we'd have a full stop beginning with on. On the way back, another comma, she met a tall lady, and so on. Okay, so really good openers there, but you've got to think about punctuating those adverbial openers accurately. And any clauses, here we've got a relative clause, any clauses that you may also have here. Sorry, that should be in yellow. So you can see it a bit clearer. Who was wearing one of her Daisy dresses? That's a relative clause. That should have been demarcated by some commas there. Demarcated is just a fancy name for sandwiched. So you've got your relative clause, you've got your starting with your relative pronoun, so you need a comma before that, closing the relative clause before you finish off the remaining main clause. Okay. Here again, we've got an example of a lovely sentence opener here, lovely adverbial opener, but again, we just need that comma there. Okay. Here we've got meanwhile inside the wall, so you'd need a comma here at the end of this clause. Daisy, capital letter for Daisy, was in there, but wasn't. Okay, there's a lot of stuff. We'll look at the little sentence structure of that in a little while. Okay, again, I'm noticing that the word Daisy here used a lot. You could use she instead. Okay, some really good examples. I think that was from Maggie there, so well done. Just before moving on to editing and really picking apart people's writing, I just want to say a well done to everybody who handed in their stories. It's almost like a first draft. All good writers go back and edit their work and change it and improve it and look for those common errors. So as we're looking through this, don't be disheartened and think, oh, I thought I did a good job. Everybody has done a really good job. Okay, it's just going through with a fine-tooth comb and picking out those little errors. And I say the word common because lots of boys and girls make the same errors. Okay, so there's nothing to be ashamed about. Okay, so let's have a little look at this one here and think about how we could improve, edit this first and potentially improve it as well. Okay, so when we're doing this, sometimes our sentence structure changes, sometimes we add extra in, or sometimes we edit, edit meaning the punctuation. So one luminous night, that's all fine, there was a mysterious woman crawling around the street like an overgrown rat, snooping around endlessly. Okay, so I think we would have a full stop and capital letter here after the word endlessly. She will. Now, think about the tense there. We've got this in the past tense. I would change that to she would. Now, my writing will be terrible with this pen here, so I'm just going to say what we change it to. She would do anything in her psycho head to capture and morph each and every child in the village. Again, here we don't need the and, you just need to move on, capital letter and full stop. Okay. The first child she done. The first child she done. That doesn't quite make sense. It's not what we would call standard English. The first child she maybe captured, destroyed, changing that so that it's in the past tense. The first child she transformed, morphed into a snake, and she was called Wrang-tailed Hansen. Again, that common error of just overusing conjunctions when you actually need a new sentence. All she does now is slither around either in the streets or around in her parents' house. Okay, parents' house. Think carefully about this one, boys and girls. This house belongs to the parents, so we need an apostrophe for possession somewhere. Okay, there's more than one parent, so it needs to come after the S, parents' house. Again, we don't need that and then you've got a lovely sentence opener there. One day, comma, she was playing outside and the same woman who transformed her into a snake, then she called the infestation crew. Then no one ever saw her again. Okay, I like that, the infestation crew. Good vocabulary again, rhyme. So just a few little common errors there, and this I have seen this in lots of writing that I've looked at. So it's the overuse of conjunctions. Really think about, is this the end of that sentence? Do you need a full stop and capital letter to move on? Thinking about making sure that everything makes sense, particularly this part here. Okay, making sure that it's in the past tense, it's already happened. Some of the other basics like apostrophes for possession. Okay, so well done on that one. Just a few little tweaks there. Now, thinking about the targets that you had. Okay, I think you've pretty much included all of them there. The only one I think that you might want to think about is using some different clauses if this was yours, or some conjunctions to extend okay, when needed. All right. So have a little look through your first paragraph, see if you've got any common errors similar to this, and see if you can fix them. Okay, so I'm imagining I'm you at home reading through this little extract of work here. First of all, just at a glance, I can see a capital letter and I don't see my first full stop till all the way down here. So when you're at home, I want you to get your first paragraph in front of you, and what you need to do first is just read it through. Okay, so you're not changing anything, you're just reading through. Next morning, Daisy wasn't in her bed. She usually always had a lie-in. Nobody knew where she went. They searched all around the house until they noticed a bang and a shriek coming from the wall. They shouted, "Daisy!" from every single wall, but not another sound came from anywhere. They were all so scared, especially Rupert. He realized he had no more company from his sister Daisy. Now they can't play pirates. Okay. So you'll notice there I had to take a breath at certain points throughout that, and that's a big clue as to where your capital letters and full stops need to go. Okay, so let's see if we can edit this together now, thinking about those basic errors. Do I need some full stops, a capital letter somewhere? Does it make sense? Okay, and any missing punctuation as well. So the next morning, you don't have to use red pen, you could use purple. The next morning, so again, adverbial opener, I need a comma there. The next morning, Daisy wasn't in her bed. Oh, I think that's a bit shocking. I think I might have an exclamation mark there. Capital letter, she. She usually always. Now these two words mean the same thing. So you just need one of them. She usually, or she always, sorry to get rid of that one. That word's actually spelled incorrectly. She always had a lie in. But, so I need a conjunction here. I need to join these two clauses here. She always had, sorry, not there. She always had a lie in. Oh, I think that's a coordinating conjunction here. One of the fanboys I could use, but really trying to keep my writing neat. But nobody knew where she, not went, nobody knew where she was. Okay, that makes sense. That's the standard English. And then full stop, capital letter. They searched all around the house. Oh, lovely conjunction there, until, but we just need one L. They searched all around the house until they noticed a bang and a shriek coming from the wall. I think that's quite astounding. Let's put an exclamation mark there. Capital letter. They shouted, "Daisy!" Capital D for Daisy. They shouted Daisy from every single wall, but lovely conjunction, not another sound came from anywhere. Full stop. Capital letter. They were all so scared, comma, especially, need to check that spelling there, especially Rupert, proper noun, capital R. He realized, I need to check this spelling, especially Rupert, because, I want a conjunction in there, because he realized he had no more company from his sister Daisy. Because, very difficult to write with this pen on my keyboard, boys and girls. So I do apologise for my terrible writing here, the word because. From his sister Daisy, capital letter for Daisy there. Full stop, well done, but you need that capital letter. Now, they can't play pirates. Okay, we need that apostrophe there in between the N and the T, okay, to show that we've shortened that word from the two words cannot. So, okay, just a few little bits to edit there. All right, definitely really thinking about when the sentence finishes and when a new one starts. A couple of missing conjunctions as well. Now, to improve it even further, you might want to have a look at the previous slides to see if you can pinch some of the different sentence openers, because here now we've got lots of sentences starting, three sentences starting with they, and then another pronoun up there, she, okay? All right, so you might think about changing some of those different openers, all right? Well done. So go to your work, First thing, read it all through, look for those. Okay, so here we've got an example of some speech here. Now what I've done is the speech here started here, just down here a little bit. What I've done is I've edited this underneath, okay? So this is how that speech from the paragraph there should look. So we've got, let's do a little check as we go, talking through. So we've got inverted commas. I'm going to use a lighter colour so you can see a little bit actually. Inverted commas, capital letter. Mama, can you tell me about when you saw a witch? She's just asked a question, so I have to have some type of punctuation before the final set of inverted commas. I need to say who asked the question. I've said ask Lizzie and then a full stop. Okay, so let's recap. Inverted commas, capital letters, the speech. Where is it a full stop, a question mark, an exclamation mark, or a comma? Close with inverted commas, say who said it. Okay, now we've got to have a new line for new speaker. And here you'll notice that the response is, of course, Lizzie, said Mama. Remember, when we do speech, we want to add in some action as well. So we get to understand what that character is like, or what the relationship between characters is like, or so that we can advance the action. So it's not just a bit of speech with no action in the middle, okay? Because it gets a bit boring for the reader, remember. So let's do this check. Inverted commas, capital letter. Of course, Lizzie, comma, inverted commas. Mama replied as she stroked Lizzie's hair like she always did. So here, just that little bit of information, giving some action. She's stroking her hair. You can see they've got really quite a nice relationship together just from that little extra snippet of information there. So go back through anywhere where you have speech. See that you've got the basic bits of punctuation, new line, new speaker, and see if there's any way that you could add some extra action or detail about what's happening or the characters that are speaking. Okay, so your task, just like I did on one of the previous slides, read your story out loud. Right? It's a really good bit of advice. Read it out loud to yourself. Edit those common errors. Add in any extra vocabulary to help the reader imagine the action or characters. Think about paragraphs, because I saw quite a few of you just present work all in one block. There were no distinct paragraphs. And really look carefully at that speech. So go away and edit your document. Either you need to write it up again, or if you did it on a Word document, you can just type it and change it as you go. And then you need to submit your edited and improved story. Okay, good luck everybody. I'm looking forward to reading these again.